Hey all, here OS Reviews. Today we're taking a closer look at Tribit's Flybuds NC. This is active noise cancelling wireless TWS buds, which are again pretty affordable and sell for under $60. So this is a growing trend that we've been seeing a lot of, especially over the past few months, is active noise cancelling coming down even onto budget models of wireless buds. Great to see, and slowly also improving in terms of the performance. This is yet another pair of those, so if you want to reduce the noise around you, if you want to repress things like fans and engines, this is going to be a great way to more comfortably listen to music. Otherwise, these come with 10mm drivers, a little bit larger than the typical pair of wireless buds, which are around 6mm, so this should give us slightly louder sound. Battery life is rated to last up to 30 hours with ANC turned off, and the buds can actually last over 10 hours on a single charge, which is actually on the longer side of the spectrum compared to, say, AirPods, which are around, say, 5 or 6 hours. And same thing goes with active noise cancelling turned on. You'll get closer to 8 hours per charge, and then in total around 24 hours with the battery case. By the way, these are also rated to be IPX4, so they can be splash-proof, rain-proof, and they should still survive. Packaging here is very simple. There's that orange accent, which they use a lot on their other products that we've seen in the past. Up top, there's just a quick user guide, and inside here we have just the Tribit Flybud NCs, along with some spare silicone tips underneath here, presented pretty well, along with a standard USB Type-C charging cable. Now, taking a closer look at the battery case, first of all, it is very compact. These are smaller than some of the other ANC buds we've checked out in the past few days, from Tronsmart, for instance, the Apollo Bolds, which are definitely larger than these. And here it is next to, say, Apple AirPods, which you can see they're actually very similar overall in terms of the dimensions on the top. So these are still easy enough to slide into pockets for quick transportation. It's made out of this polycarbonate plastic, and then on the rear there is a Type-C port for charging, and that's pretty much it. It doesn't support Qi wireless charging on this model, but that's to be expected at this price range. Now, these buds do support audio codecs like SBC and AAC using a Realtek-based chip. However, it doesn't support Qualcomm's aptX, which is also normal at this price. Now, we do have 4 LEDs on the bottom that tells you the status of the battery life remaining inside of the casing, which is activated when the buds are kind of moved or taken out of the case. So the buds themselves will begin pairing with your device after you remove them from the battery case. Now, taking a closer look at the design here of the buds, they do have a slight stem, which is a little reminiscent of, say, Apple's AirPods, but there's also a divot that's cut out on the top that's used for one of the microphones that picks up your environmental noises and represses that with ANC. So a slightly distinguished feature there if you look closely. Otherwise, the top portion of the stem here is touch sensitive, and it is pretty responsive in my testing. You're able to do things like double tap to play and pause your music, and then on the right side you can actually long hold to go into ANC mode, audio ambient transparency mode, which magnifies the noises around you, like reverse ANC, so you can have a conversation without removing these from your ears, and then hold on it for a few more seconds to go back into the off normal listening mode. You can also do things like answer a call as well as bring up a voice assistant, but unfortunately the controls don't allow us to raise the volume higher or lower directly on these. It's a bit of a missed opportunity considering there isn't anything mapped to a single tap on the controls, so it would have been nice if you could tap once to raise it higher or lower, but as it is, that's not a gesture that they've built on in. It's only using double taps and triple taps or holds for all of the other functions. Regardless, it is pretty comfortable and lightweight overall. On the side here we can see it has a slightly protruding angular shape, which make them fit pretty well, at least in my testing so far. They felt comfortable and pretty snug. I was able to walk around, kind of shake my head gently, and they still stayed in place without too much issues, despite the lack of a larger wing on the outside, for instance. So here's a closer look at those. If we do a very quick size comparison with the aforementioned AirPods, you can get an idea here of the size difference. The stem of the AirPods are longer, but the internal socket here of the Flybuds are going to be a little bit thicker, as you can see. It houses a larger battery inside and more circuitry for the ANC. So they are a touch heavier, but overall not too bad either. Moving into audio quality and performance, starting with the pros, these are very clean sounding, so you won't really find any hints of static, hissing, or humming in the background. Reproduction of the mids and trebles are also handled very well. It gives you plenty of details for instrumentals and vocals, and there's even a nice touch of bass, though I wouldn't say these are necessarily super bass heavy compared to some other buds, but still good enough for most folks, offers a nice balanced dynamic sound, and as you're listening to drum beats or EDM music, it still hits a little bit in the back end. But perhaps the mids is the area where it shines the most. It's like strings on a guitar, for instance, when they're plucked really well. It overall feels dynamic and definitely sounds like you're wearing larger headphones at times than something so small, so it can become pretty immersive and enjoyable after just listening to music for a few seconds with them on. So overall, very pleasantly surprised in terms of the sound profile. It's comfortable, works well across the board for pretty much any genre that you would want to play music with, including pop music, rock music, EDM, and also for watching videos. Latency, by the way, is also quite good. It's not going to be, again, the lowest compared to some aptX certified devices, but for watching back YouTube clips, you can play and pause the track, and the video and audio are still synced together without any problems in my testing. And for also doing a bit of gaming, it was still fair. Although it's not going to be completely free from any latency, it's still serviceable and good enough to get you by without really any distracting issues popping up. When it comes to the active noise cancellation, I was also pleasantly surprised in the sense that they do work better than expected. For the price range of around $50, this is, I would say, on the higher side of the range of being effective in terms of ANC. I would rate it to be maybe around 8 out of 10 in terms of canceling out noises. Not only does it suppress lower frequency sounds like engines of a car or of a plane if you're traveling, but at the same time, even some mid-frequency sounds like voices of other people talking around you are also muted. It sounds much more distant when you have it turned on. It's actually a pretty noticeable effect when you have the function turned on versus turned off, which is doing a pretty good job, as long as you have a good enough seal with the silicone tips. Overall, the Ambient mode also is very effective. It actually amplifies noises quite well. It's very loud, and you're able to hear everything without really removing these, and so the difference, again, is very much observable. So compared to some earlier pairs of budget ANC buds, I would say the quality of ANC and the transparency mode have both improved in terms of the suppression as well as the enhancement of sound here, so gotten better. With that being said, it's still not going to be a competitor to the most expensive industry-leading buds by Bose, for instance, or Sony's, which tend to still perform a little bit better for higher frequency sounds, although these get surprisingly close for just a fraction of the price, again, under $50 compared to, say, $200 or $300 you'd pay for one of those brand names. And so it's a huge cost saving that I think it has performance that's much better than only a fraction or a fourth of what you would be paying for. If anything, maybe having some volume controls built in would be perfect. But aside from that, if you can make do, this is one of the strongest pairs of budget ANC buds currently on the market that I've tried yet for this price range. You can check out more details if you're interested in the links down below, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.